I was just like, man, this isn't for me. And I lost that battle. But I think that is what turned me kind of towards where I wanted to be, knowing I'm not a battle rapper. I'm a guy I'm a little different. So I just need to find what's different and what I like about myself and make that a bigger part of my character, my persona, my gimmick, if you will. And it was that kind of crushing defeat and having to go home after that what led to me kind of stepping into my fate. After that, I played the Mega Man 9 game. I wrote a song about Splash Woman, and then the rest was kind of history. Then Capcom calls me, and then I'm the first rapper licensed by a video game company, and then all that. Parallax. You are now tuned into the Parallax Effect. It's not the message, it's the messenger. What up, Ryan? It's time. Parallax. Oatmeal's better than no meal. Guess who's back to make mountains out of molehills? If this don't move you, I bet my folks will. This beat's smooth, but trust me, there ain't no chill. Ask Ryan, if I'm lying, I'm flying. It's the sculpture of all aspects of the culture. Parallax. The People's Podcast is back, laying it down flat for you wherever you at. Your job, or your car, or your jog, or your flight. Loads of archives with no ending in sight. Hitting on any topic, long as it ain't no nonsense. You can see the others for the drama and the gossip. Word to Brett, best there ever was, recognize it. Never secondary, my eyes stay on the pocket. Parallax. And if you feeling the vibes, give us 5 stars. Oh, and follow and subscribe. Parallax. Sit back and recline, relax and enjoy the ride. Cause it's that Parallax. And you just passed the test. This is the Parallax Effect. Come on, Parallax. Sit back and recline, relax and enjoy the ride. Cause it's that Parallax. And you're here, that's mad respect. Welcome to the Parallax Effect. Yeah.
Podcast is back. Welcome back to the Parallax Effect, where we continue to navigate through the shifting tides of perspective. I am your host, Ryan Lavelle. We have a brilliant show for you today. Just to kick things off, a reminder, you can follow us on Twitter at Parallax Effects. Once again, on Twitter, that's Parallax Effects, and you can also follow us on Instagram at Parallax Effect Media. Once again, that's Parallax Effect Media, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave us some likes, leave us some ratings, follow us on Apple and Spotify as well. We would love to hear from you. Okay, moving forward. You all, I guess the major feedback has been the intro to the show has been a huge success. So everybody's been asking, we need to hear from that person. We want to know who he is. We want to get his story. So without further ado, today I bring you. He is a Guinness World Record holder. We're going to get into that. He is a teacher, rapper, hero, father, and author as well, too. This man is a Renaissance man, so I would like to welcome Mega Ran to the Parallax Effect. How you doing?
Yo, it's so awesome to be here, man. That's that theme kind of slaps, man. I can't front. I've of course listened to it a million times in creating it, but like listening to it in the context of the show, it just gives it a whole different feel, a different vibe, man. It hits different, as the kids say. So thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for having me on the show. Man, it's awesome to be here, man. How you been?
Oh man, been pretty good. Steady grinding every day, just trying to improve, trying to make the show, worthy of obtaining more of a following, give something to our guests and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, really great to have you on, because we'll get into kind of how we met a little bit as the show goes on. But man, every time somebody listens to the show, that's the first thing they text me and say, like, dude, who did the intro? We need to link up with them, or some iteration of that. So just kind of, you have your own following. You've established yourself in the world of music, in the world of wrestling, in the world of gaming, in the world of all the above. But just to, introduce yourself to the crowd, how did that all come about? Where did you grow up? I think you grew up in Philadelphia, right? How was that?
Yeah, man, Philadelphia really kind of made me who I am. It's a town that's full of passion for sports, for music, for wrestling, for pretty much all the things that have kind of made me who I am. So I was just kind of in the right place, right time, and being born out there and just getting a real strong taste of culture, and a sense of identity, just from growing up out there. Grew up in a place called Uptown, they call it affectionately. This is kind of the northwest section of Philadelphia. Not, in the hood, but hood adjacent, I like to say. But also full of like, middle class uh black folks who just work hard and instilled great values in me, very much raised by a village in that sense. And yeah, it's been a ride for sure, but Philadelphia is where it all started and what kind of helped to forge who I am.
Right, right. And so from there, you kind of followed like the Charles Barkley Fresh Prince type of model heading out west. I think you're in Phoenix now. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I didn't think about the Charles Barkley and the Fresh Prince parallels, but yes, I am now in Phoenix where it's very hot. They say you can't shovel sunshine, so I'm okay with that. We don't have to deal with weather. I don't even have to watch the weather anymore. I know it's going to be hot or not as hot, and that helps me to just focus on other things. And yeah, it's a different vibe for sure. Like coming out here, people are much more kind of maybe introverted where they're not necessarily always out standing at a bus stop or in public places we're going to meet people. There's a lot more of driving, but also a lot more of a relaxed atmosphere where I think if you come to a place like this with some hustle, as we call it, the East Coast hustle, you can kind of make some things happen, because folks are just in their flip flops, just chilling, because the weather is usually just way too hot to be running around.
Right. And I wanted to get into some of those differences between the Philly and the Phoenix life. I've spent some time in Tucson because I went to the University of Arizona, and I've only been to Philly once, but I'm longing to go back. And I think WrestleMania is there next year, right?
Correct. So that's gonna be a fun time, man. WrestleMania hasn't been in Philly for a very long time. Last time it was there, I was living there, so that was a real wild time. But yeah, next year's gonna be insane.
Yeah, very much so. And I'm looking forward to being there. And the kind of getting to kind of moving forward a little bit, we'll jump around back and forth because we met at WrestleMania. Now that we're talking about WrestleMania, and I was excited to have you on the show as a wrestling fan, as a Black wrestling fan, growing up in Pasadena area. First of all, just in general, being a wrestling fan sometimes it's kind of taboo the older you get. But I wasn't aware of the entire Black wrestling community until this past WrestleMania, at least the enormity of it. So it was very exciting to me to meet you all and interact in that forum.
Man, 100%. It was a beautiful thing to see. I've seen it in bits and pieces and pockets over the few years. Starcast, I think, is the very first time we met up. A good brother named Andreas Hale did a wrestling with stereotypes panel, and we from there just really started meeting up with not just wrestlers but wrestling fans of color who were just about bringing the culture forward and kind of killing a lot of the stigma attached to it. you know I still have half my friend group who's just like, well, you still watch that stuff, man, it's fake, right? What are you doing? Or just basically implying like this stuff is not for you. You know what I mean? Like they're not writing it for you, they're not creating it for you. And I'm like, well, you know what, let me show you how some things actually do relate and work out and connect to our experiences. So yeah, it's been a journey for sure, but I think that we're loud and proud, which I think is really dope. And I think this WrestleMania was just really the culmination of it. Like I saw more black and brown folks in not just in attendance at WrestleMania, but like with press credentials, like interviewing top talent, like in these rooms and spaces that we were never really allowed to be in for a long time. and not just, the entourage, but like adding value to situations constantly. The moment I walked on the floor of WrestleMania, I saw a gentleman that I knew who was like working press, so cool stuff like that was happening every which way. And yeah, I think this time was like the biggest for sure. I've been to the last probably 6 or 7 WrestleManias. This felt like the biggest for a lot of reasons, but it was also the most like representation I've seen, in not just talent, but also in like press and other folks that are working around the industry, which is really dope to see.
Right. And we had been here in LA waiting for WrestleMania for a while. And I know the pandemic delayed it a year or two. And we were really, really looking forward to the Hollywood Rock story, Roman Reigns, Rock, seeing if that was going to happen. It actually obviously didn't. But I think the delay in itself personally benefited me because, and I'll try to be real quick with this and kick it back to you, but it enabled me to meet all of you guys, the aforementioned Andreas Hale as well, too. So I really want to thank Andreas because he played a big part in actually getting this show started.
Mm.
So the story, real quick, was that we bought tickets to Wale Mania. And I'd always been wanting to go ever since I saw, and I follow the New Day pod. That's a huge inspiration for this show as well. So shout out to the New Day. And that's how I found out about yourself, Andreas, kind of the whole clique that you guys kind of run with as well. Being Black wrestling fans and just promoting, podcasting and all that stuff in general. So anyway, we bought tickets to Wale Mania, and I figured, okay, I know, all you guys are going to be there. Like, I need to meet you guys because I have all these questions. I'm stuck in a rut. I don't know how to get this pod started. So we pull up to Wale Mania. My lady, it's at the Novo in downtown LA. My lady Jasmine forgets her phone in the car, and we're running late. So I'm like, all right, I need to go get inside. Like, I need to go establish where we're going to be sitting. Like, I bought these VIP tickets. I thought, whatever. She goes to go get her phone. I run inside the Novo. I come to find out that I had the bleacher seats instead of the VIP floor seats, which I thought I had. So I was kind of like real nervous running around. And I have my Winged Eagle WWE championship belt that I bought years ago. And I wear it like with pride,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm walking back and forth and I'm looking at the entrance to see, like, is Jasmine going to make it over here? Did she get lost? I'm frantic. I'm nervous. A gentleman stops me and he's like, if you walk by one more time, I was going to ask you if I could take a picture with your belt. I said, man, no problem. Gave it to him. I'm still looking at the front door, frantic. He snaps a little photo shoot, gives it back. And he's like, oh, by the way, like, where are you sitting? And I'm like, well, actually, I'm upstairs in the balcony. I'm trying to figure out how to get out on the floor. Like, I'm kind of stuck. He's like, oh, man, I run this joint. I manage it. No problem. Here's a wristband. Slaps the wristband on. And I'm like, well, I'm also waiting for my lady, Jasmine as well, too. Don't worry about it. We got her. I'm like, wow. So as soon as I walk out on the floor, Andreas walks in right in front of me. And I had been trying to connect with him on Twitter because I know he was talking about a special event for podcasters. And so I stopped him, like, had a quick conversation. He's like, oh, yeah, we're going to be at the, I think it was called the Knucklehead the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, all right. Now I got the info down and my memory is horrible, right? Like, I forget names, I forget everything. So within 5 or 10 minutes, I had forgot the name of the place. And so I was like, oh man, I need to, connect with them again, or I don't know what to do. I think he said Knickerbocker, but I know it wasn't the Knickerbocker because the Knickerbocker is like a hotel or whatever. Anyway, fast forward, we're getting ready to leave eventually the event. And we walk out, and one of the managers who recognized me from my interactions with the manager that gave me the wristband was like, oh, did you guys check out the lounge, the secret lounge area? And I'm like, I had no idea there even was this. And I live in LA, and we've been to the Novo even before when it was called the Nokia or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we walk up there and we're just hanging out by chance. And then out comes Andreas again. And I had a chance to ask him again because I forgot where the place tomorrow or the next day was going to be at. So he reminded me, which was very nice of him. And I actually saw you walking into Wale Mania. And I was like, oh, there's Mega Ran. I'm going to say what's up to him. but they let you in like the back side entrance. So I was right in front of you, but then you cut a right and went through the back. And I was like, oh man, I missed them, but maybe I'll hit them tomorrow. But anyway, so got to the event tomorrow, which by the way, and I know I'm carrying on here, but by the way, we were moving out of our apartment and that was the day we were supposed to be out. And we had bed, furniture, dresser, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, look, I gotta take this opportunity. These are, I get to link up with some people that I've been very influenced by that don't even know it. So anyway, went down to the event, which was a fabulous event. Met yourself there, met Will Washington, connected with Andreas again. Big Swole was there. And I had just met Cedric Alexander the night before. So I was talking to her about that. So that was cool. But yeah, that's how we connected, man. And after that, 1 + 1 = 2, obviously. We linked up, the intro got done, and I think that's the best move that I made for the show thus far.
Wow. Thank you, man. That's a dope story. Like, I'm sure, and just from all the people I talked to that weekend, so many people had similar stories like that, just like running into people that had been very influential to them, whether online or just through their work, and being able to put names to faces. Like, that stuff is so important, man. Even in this age of social media, like, there's nothing that has overtaken a good handshake and a good conversation, as far as like building relationships. So, that's funny. The Wale Mania time was almost just as hectic for me. Like, I walked in and I'm with 4 people and they're like, here's your 1 wristband. And I'm like, wait, but my people. And they're like, yeah, I don't know what to do. Sorry. And they're like, find whoever, the probably the person who handed you the wristbands, find them. And I'm like, okay. So I'm asking and they're just like, oh, we're going to try. And all my people are just like literally waiting at the door, like waiting for me to give the word. And security was like, nope, And I go in the back and maybe I got there a little late, but everyone's just standing in the hallway. Like, that's just the kind of the social area. And everybody's just kind of standing there before they get to the stage. So it's the time to see everybody. So I walk in, the New Day's there, the Usos are there, Powerhouse Hobbs, Adam Cole, like just so many folks that either I just, known or just been fans of. And it was just a great moment. But on top of that, there were just people that were fans of me, like coming up to me being like, oh my God, yo, Mega Ran, I love your stuff. I love your work on here. I love when I heard you on the New Day pod or the King Woods theme, or, and that stuff's awesome to me. Like, I remember starting off in this community, of like wrestling, and it was WrestleMania 32 in Dallas. And we, myself and T Call, we got a table, and I always tell this story, but to him especially, because like when you think about giving up, it's a story to think about. But like, that was several years ago, because we're at 40 now. So that was 7 years ago, in Dallas, and we got a table at WrestleCon, and we're like, what the heck? I got a new album coming out. I'll just do what I can. The Matt Mania album is out. And they put us at a table, and we're next to Ricochet, Chris Hero, like Diamond Dallas Page, like all these like amazing people are next to us. And I'm just like, I'm a little overmatched here. Like, I'm supposed to be like their peer. Like, I'm just like a fan. What am I doing here? And like very few people bought my album. Very few people knew who I was. But the What Culture guys showed me a lot of love, and that really encouraged me. And then I met Brian Zane from Wrestling with Regret and so many other folks. But like, I didn't sell a bunch of CDs. I didn't make, that trip worth whatever it was supposed to have been. But you got to just lay those foundations, and I think that like brick by brick, man, everybody has to realize that nothing gets built overnight. And it's those handshakes, it's that meeting, it's that chance bumping into that person at a club that can lead to something else, but you just got to stick in there, And so during Wale Mania, that brings me back, I'm inside just kind of hanging with the like celebrities, and I was like, this is cool and all, but like, I need to see the people. So when I found my way out to the balcony, that was when I met everybody literally for the first time, like Will Washington, Righteous Reg, so many other cats that were there were just like, yo, what's up? And we all just like, it was like this family reunion. It was this beautiful feeling of people that I had literally never met, who had to like introduce me or only known through their avatars. And it was just beautiful. Like, Wale Mania is definitely the catalyst for like the Black wrestling community. And so I just want to really shout that whole thing out, man, from Wale to Kaz to Emilio to Cam, to everybody who makes that thing go, because it's highly appreciated and needed, because a lot of us don't necessarily feel welcome by the thing that we love. But when we see stuff like that, we're like, oh wait, this is for us. And I remember coming up the escalator going into the Novo, and this guy was coming down the escalator with his girlfriend. He was so mad. He's like, man, I just paid for a Wale concert and I ain't even know Wale on the stage. He ain't even rapping. I just wasted my money. He was so mad. Like he was not a wrestling fan. He's like, man, all these fools walking around with belts and I ain't seen no Wale. I'm going home. And I was just like, man, like he doesn't understand what this show is. But
Right.
I could also understand, like, because a lot of people don't understand what that show is. Like, is it a concert? Yes. Is it a podcast? Yes. Is it a meet and greet? Yes. Is it just a kickback? Yeah. Like, it's everything in one, so it's a very special event. And it's not easy to put together, I know, because I've literally tried to blueprint that and turn that into an event that we've done, Matt Mania Live, that we've done at a few WrestleManias and Royal Rumble weekends around different towns. And, it's not easy to be like, all right, I need to get wrestlers, I need to get rappers, I need to get singers, I need to get podcasters all in one room so we can all network, so it's a fun time for sure. And, but the hard work behind it has to be saluted. All right,
Yes,
I didn't want to make
indeed.
this an entire Wale Mania podcast, but but I just had to get that out.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I want to shout out Wale as well. Shout out everybody that had to that works hard to produce that big production every year, because it is hard to reproduce. But it was the Wale Mania at Kofi Mania was where I really found out what it was really about. I wasn't there, but I saw all the clips, and that gave me a great idea of like how important this event is, especially for fans like us. But
Man, for real,
yeah, definitely want to get into.
I want just a quick thing. That was a big one too. The New York one, man. I got a video that I'll never forget of like Shad holding up Kofi, on stage, and that just being such an awesome moment where everybody was ready to give Kofi his flowers, and Booker and everybody was there. Like, it was just an awesome moment, man. Like, I think the culmination of Wale Mania and Kofi Mania for sure was like the tipping point to like really push this thing over the edge and to bring in and bring back so many, fans of color that may have been lapsed or just, really didn't see enough of themselves in the product. So that New York event was very, very special.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Wish I could have been there, but glad that you guys got to experience that for sure. But yeah, I did want to pivot to more of your kind of introduction into the music realm. I know you're a teacher as well. Did those things happen in parallel or in series, or how did that go?
Music was always a part of me, just, whether it was background or Saturday cleaning or Motown and things like that, being on in the house. But I started writing my first rap while I was in high school still. I was like 11th grade. And it was just like, I remember just we would buy like albums or songs and singles. And then sometimes the single would have an instrumental on it somewhere on the cassette single. And then we would just play the beats. And sometimes we'd be like, let's just kick a freestyle. And all my friends on my block, we would all sit together and just kick a little cipher. And I was always pretty bad at it. But then we moved it into rap battling, like where we would start freestyle battling. And it was really a trial by fire, man. Like my friends were ruthless. And so they're like, we're going to get you. Like, you better be ready. Like, you don't come in here wearing busted shoes. Don't come in here with a spaghetti stain on your shirt, because we're going to talk about it. And that's what they did. And then I was too shy to maybe come back at them for a long time. And then eventually I really built up the courage to start freestyling and responding. And once I finally did it, like, oh snap, like you're actually pretty good at this, and that encouraged me to write my first rap. It was the summer of maybe 93, 94, when like comic books, wrestling, video games were my whole life. So I think a lot of the references in the song were like to wrestling moves or strutting like Ric Flair and Sonic Boom like Guile. And it was just so many like references to things that I loved. And that kind of was the blueprint to where Mega Ran kind of began, was like fitting in my favorite things about pop culture into the songs.
Right. And is Mega Ran a play on Mega Man? Is that how we came up with that?
Yes, for sure. My first original name was Random, based on this X Factor character who would be able to transform himself. And I thought like, oh, I want to be able to transform myself on songs when the beats change or whatever. And so um then Mega Man, everybody knew that I loved Mega Man. I love the music, I love the games. And so we combined Mega Man with Random, and then it became Mega Ran. And yeah, that was how it happened.
There it is, you guys. Mega Ran making it happen on the Parallax Effect. Again, thank you so much for coming on, man. Just catching up with your upbringing and just your introduction into the music scene and all that. And then we talked about video games and comics as too. So, um, which video games did you grow up with the most? We talked about Mega Man. Were there any others?
Oh man. The Sonic the Hedgehog, the Mario, the Zelda, Metroid. We were a group of kids on the block called the video nerds. There was the older kids would call us that. And they would make fun of us for playing video games, but if they got stuck in their video game, then they would call us and be like, hey, come help me. I'm stuck on this Metroid stage. I'm stuck on Castlevania, trying to beat Mike Tyson, help me out. And so we were able to, the video nerds, because we read Nintendo Power and all those other things, we could show them tips and tricks then that kind of would endear us to the cool kids of the block who still didn't like us. Back then, nerd was not a term of endearment. So if you were called a nerd, like you were a person people didn't want to hang with. So yeah, our social group was just people like me. It was just people who were a little bit maybe socially inept. Like we weren't the coolest, we weren't the smoothest, didn't have the finest gear, and we just loved video games was what brought us together and kind of built those friendships along the way.
Yeah, and I think our era of growing up was right on the cusp of that, like play outside, stay inside and play video games, do a little bit of both.
Hmm.
So that was definitely exciting, and that's why listening to your music is so nostalgic for me because you bring up some of those real, just nice, very authentic memories of growing up. Whatever it is, Sonic the Hedgehog was one of mine too, as well. Street Fighter, obviously, and I love it. So, but I was trying to do a little bit of research on your music. Officially, how many albums do you have?
Oh man, somebody told me the other day 36, and I was like, that sounds about right. I don't count honestly because they're just it's like how many feelings do you have, or how many times did you blink? Because songs to me and are feelings. It's like when I'm feeling a certain thing, I write a song about it. So I try not to count. The only time I've really had to count was for the Guinness World Records. They asked me how many songs about Mega Man do you have, like, and I had to go back and count and actually stopped at 120. I was like, all right, 120. And he's like, well, that's definitely a record because nobody's written this many songs about one particular thing, like, one particular franchise. And so that's where the record came from. But yeah, I don't count them because they're all very special moments, and moods and concepts that serve different purposes for me, so but they are very much like timestamps. I listen back to my music all the time and I'm like, oh man, I remember what I was doing when I wrote that. I remember where I was living when I wrote that. I wrote this on the train. I wrote this, and it brings me back to those moments and helps to kind of keep me humble and looking forward. But yeah, I try not to count at all because it'll just make me feel old.
No, that definitely wasn't the intention. I just didn't want to misquote how many albums you have. Didn't want to get it wrong. But what's the best way for the audience to find your music or to download or listen or buy?
Wow. Well, there's this site called Bandcamp, which I think is really dope. They make sure to give the artist the biggest cut of any sort of or any distributor out there. I mean, I don't know if you've heard about Spotify and other places giving you kind of pennies on the dollar per stream, but Bandcamp allows people to download their music, keep it at a really high quality level, and pays the artists, very fairly. So I have a Bandcamp site which is megaranmusic.com. I also put exclusive stuff there that isn't anywhere else. Even for my new album coming out, I have an exclusive bonus cut that will only be on Bandcamp. So if you get it there, then you'll have a little extra song. So I try to reward folks for maybe doing something a little outside of their comfort zones. I think that's fair. I know most people like streaming. You like to have it right on your phone. You like to be able to bam, 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 hit a button, Apple Music, bam. I could say to my phone, play Mega Ran, and it'll just do it. Which is fine. I say get it however you can, but the best way to support an independent artist is to come out to shows. So when they are doing events, bring a body out, bring a friend out, buy a ticket, buy two, and give one to a friend who you think would enjoy it. That's, I think, the best way to support any sort of art, to be honest. I think is to show up when they have live events.
Perfect. Bandcamp.com, www.megaran.com. The links will be in the show description for sure. When's the next time you're coming out to LA?
Looking like September. I will let you know. Planning a tour with some good friends of mine, so there'll be some details of that. My new album is coming in September. It's a children's album called Buddy's Magic Toy Box, and so it's going to be a lot of the video games fun that we've all used to from Megaran, but also with a bit of a children's edge since I'm a new dad. But I will more than likely be in LA in September.
And I'll look forward to you coming out here. Obviously, I definitely want to link up with you for sure. Come to your show. And congratulations on being a new dad. I understand you adopted a son. Is that correct?
Yes. We've been fostering for a year and a half, and he is now officially ours, which has been a heck of a journey, but very, very awesome. Very glad I did it. And yeah, he is ours now. They've always said, like, it's not final until the judge hits the gavel, and the judge hit the gavel as of 2 months ago. So he is ours now.
Ultimate super congratulations, man. Such a beautiful thing. For those of us like myself who aren't fully aware of the adoption process, any highlights or any maybe ups and downs or things that you had to go through that you can share?
Man, I don't call really any of it a highlight except the end result. But honestly, it's like a real test of faith and perseverance, because you got to just do it because you love kids and you want to positively affect them. Now, the amount of time is something that you also have to be very flexible with. Like you might only get a week with a kid, and then they're going back to the parent or they're going to a grandparent. We just got very lucky in this situation where this kid, even lucky or unlucky at the same time, where mom and dad have had a rough go at it, but also like that other family members were not available. So, anytime, the first goal of the foster system is to reunite with family, so they always let reunification, and that's the key. So they're going to ask mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, first cousin, second cousin, uncle, and it has to go through and exhaust every family option before a non-family person is given a right to adopt a child. So you have to really hang in there and just hope for the best, and it takes a lot of faith and perseverance. And at the same time, you're with that kid, so you can't let that affect how you treat that kid. You can't let that affect your level of affection for that child, because the child didn't ask to be in this situation. So there's that number one thing is that you got to consider that what's best for the kid, and taking yourself out of the equation and your comfort, your happiness, your peace sometimes out of the equation, and making sure that kid goes first. And yeah, and sometimes you get rewarded.
And well, obviously, based on my interactions and what I've known about you, what I've seen, man, that's a great situation for the kid to be in. So, utmost congratulations, man. It's a beautiful story, beautiful ending. Well, beautiful beginning, I guess, right? Because
Yeah.
everything opens up from here.
Yeah, this is the beginning now. I mean, it's the ending of one chapter, but then there's the new chapter of like, oh my gosh, he's ours now. Are we going to change his name? What are we going to call him? What do we, we give him our last name. Oh my goodness. So many emotions involved, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful situation. I got to thank my wife for being there and encouraging me during this situation. Cause it ain't all ups, in this situation. Like a lot of people get, there's a huge strain on the relationship when the new child's there as well. So, hanging in there, staying together, and just fighting through the rough times, because the good times are just so worth it.
So worth it indeed. Yeah. So you're sharing your love for video games. Does he like comics? Do you guys vibe there?
Yeah, I show him some comics. He's a little rough on the pages, so I can only give him like stuff that's kind of heavy duty. But I put games on in front of him. We just started playing this Paw Patrol racing game, and he's figuring it out. He's not quite 2 yet. I think once he's 2, he can get the hang of it. But I want to get him a joystick, like a fight stick type thing, so that he can really get his hands on it. and have some fun with me. So once I find one, I think that is a good size for him. I'm definitely gonna get him more into gaming. But right now, he's got this one Paw Patrol game that he's really into, and anything with trucks or
Excellent, man.
dinosaurs. He's got to be trucks or dinosaurs.
Yeah, yeah, just like our youth, man. Gotta have them. Gotta have them.
Hmm.
Pivoting a little bit to your teaching experience, you are a teacher. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I guess they say once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher. I don't teach by trade anymore. I mean, sometimes I do. I give mentoring, all the time when it comes to either making music or social media or booking tours. I try to do my best to help out other artists that are in my position. But I was a middle school teacher for about 6 years in the inner city in Philadelphia and then in Phoenix. And it really kind of hardened me, as far as like preparing me for like the music industry. I think there's more parallels within education and entertainment than anybody would ever think, because at the end of the day, you're trying to get people to believe in you. You're standing in front of an audience that is skeptical, whether they are kids or adults, and you're trying to get them to convert. That's really what it comes down to, is converting people to your side. So if it ain't education, if it ain't entertainment, if it ain't religion, I mean, it's probably the exact same experience anytime you're. So that's, I think, what has given me such a parallel and connection to wrestlers. A lot of wrestlers that I'm friends with, we don't talk wrestling. We just talk about sometimes the strategy behind creating, and just being creative, and it's very similar, and I think that we realize that we both we're using the same parts of our brain to get people to understand us, to tell stories. They're using their body to tell stories in the same way I do on stage, where I'm telling a story. I'm not flopping on the ground, but at the same time, I just seen so many connections when I talk to these guys about what they go through, and how similar it is to the journey of an artist.
Yeah. And it is, they call it gimmicks in wrestling, but you have a character, you have to connect with the audience as well too. I always say, us as wrestling fans, like when you see, celebrity A who was a worldwide darling and becomes enemy number one off of some kind of incident or something that happened, I'm like, yeah, that's a heel turn. That's wrestling. I mean, it happens. We've seen it 1,000 times. So we're not as surprised as wrestling fans, but it is very important to obtain that connection with your audience as an educator, as a wrestler, as a performer. So I very much understand your parallels and what you're seeing throughout your journey through this thing we call life, man. So it's a beautiful thing. Um, who are you? Some of your favorite artists to work with? Or some of your favorite maybe like I know you did Xavier Woods' entrance theme, right? That was the one that really caught me, like, yo, I need to reach
Mhm.
out to him. I
Yeah,
need
yeah.
this. I need,
We did the King Woods theme, but even before that, man, Woods was like, he's responsible for me getting back into wrestling. He hit me up. He found me on the internet. I don't know, maybe 2014, 15, when he was still at NXT. Before it was NXT, he hits me up and was like, "Hey, I'm this wrestler. My name is Austin Creed. I love video games. Blah blah blah." We seem like, I think he said something like, "We should be friends" or something like that. And I was just like, okay. And he's like, "Well, I work with this company, and I would love to use some of your music as my entrance. They're letting us use our own music with Florida Championship Wrestling." And I was like, "Oh, cool." So I let him use a song of mine, and he's got a couple of videos doing it. And then he's like, "Hey, man, crazy news. WWE bought my company, and they're going to change the name to NXT, and all these things are going to happen, this and that." And I'm like, "What?" So this happens. Then fast forward, oh man, I think they're going to send me to Monday Night Raw. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And I was like, "What?" And then he's like, "I got this idea, me and Kofi and E, and I've been pitching it to them, and they really love it. I don't know if it's going to work out, but you'll see." And then the New Day happens. And so to be there during all these like amazing moments, like I say, man, he's a guy I need to get lottery numbers from, Xavier Woods, because when he calls his shot, man, he will make it happen. Like, he is the most determined, probably brilliant guy I've ever met. So he's like, "Man, I'm gonna get you to do interest music for me one day." And I was like, "Man, you got the New Day theme. It's fine. Like, it's you guys are good." He tried during Kofi Mania. He hit me up and was like, "Dude, I want you to make a song for Kofi, and I've convinced Kofi to do it." And I was like, "Okay." And so we wrote this song, me, my man G1 to the rescue. We wrote a song, and I think everybody just got way too excited because it was eventually shot down by the powers that be. But man, we thought it was going to happen. But ironically, I wasn't at the WrestleMania where Kofi Mania occurred. Not physically, I was in the city, but I was doing other business for another company. I was working with Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor specifically told me you can't show up at any competitors' events during this weekend because they flew me out, they paid for me, they put me up, and I was like, that's fine. So I mean, I get to go to the Garden. So I went to the Garden. We wrote a song for them. But I have to say, and I can say this now because ROH has been through a few different ownerships and things since then. I would have probably violated that contract if they would have said yes to this song at WWE. I would have pulled a Rick Rude and been at both shows on the same night. So I can say this confidently now that I would have just been like, I didn't read that. I didn't know. I'm sorry, man. You know, it's Mania. Like, who would refuse to play a song out at Mania? So we wrote this dope banger. I don't know if it's ever going to come out. Me, Wale, G1, New Day. It was incredible, man. It was Kofi's mom was on it.
That's got to be a hidden track somewhere.
I don't know what I could do with it.
Come on, man.
But it is. I think WWE owns it. So honestly, if something else happens, maybe I don't know. I think they like kind of bought it from us. But man, it was so good. But anyway, he's like, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna keep trying. And I was like, dude, I appreciate it, man. But like, just the fact that I know you allow me to hang out with you is enough, dude. Like, and he's like, nah, it's not enough. And so he called me before King of the Ring happened, and he was like, I think they're gonna let me do this. And so I'm gonna need new music. And I was like, yeah, you should definitely get new music. So who you thinking about? And he's like, you fool. And I was like, oh snap. So I wound up writing a jam for him, Bow Down, myself, Sazy, Def Rebel, and man, the moment to hear that thing debut on Fox, like we wrote it on a Monday and then it debuted that Friday on Fox, and I was just like, what? You know, they move fast over there. And you know, for various reasons they don't play it anymore, but I was just, but that moment can never be taken away. Like, it's a video I always have on my phone. I was at the Survivor Series that year where they played it, and it was just an awesome feeling. So yeah, man. And Woods always says, man, I'm gonna look out for you however I can, man. So I got to thank him. Austin Creed he's a godsend, man. He's a amazing dude who, and when he calls his shot, he is going to make it happen. Like, he has defied the odds his entire career, you know? So I feel like if he says, hey, I'm going to win the world championship, then that would be a goal. But for him, the goal was Kofi winning the championship. And he's like, that would be bigger than me winning a championship. And he would say that so much because it was true. Because he deserves it so much. And so I say, anytime, man, when he puts his mind to something, it happens.
And shout out to Austin Creed, Xavier Woods, for sure. A visionary in every sense of the word. And all three of the New Day members just all stand up, very good, very great, fabulous people in general. But yeah, with Austin, man, I didn't know FCW, not a part of NXT at that time. Was Xavier running that promotion?
No, he was working there. He was at
Okay.
Florida Championship Wrestling, and then they got bought by WWE. And so at that time, he became NXT while he was working there. But I remember him telling me, like, I got these ideas. He was telling me even then in NXT that he wanted to do the New Day, you know, and he's like, I want to make this happen. So the New Day idea was definitely, that all came from him. You know, the push for Kofi Mania came from him. Like, there was just so much that has happened creatively, even for other folks too. Like, he's just got a great mind for the business. You know, I think he'll be a really great like producer or something when it's over, because like he's just, and he kind of credits it to playing video games. He's like, man, I've been playing video games and reading these and crazy stories my whole life, and so now I'm in a living video game, you know, or living comic book, you know. So yeah, man, he's just always a visionary with great ideas and just like such an incredible talent. You know, that I'm just proud to call him a friend, for sure.
And I'm glad you guys get to express and share that friendship. And then up until he won the King of the Ring, I thought he was very underrated in the ring as well too. And he finally started getting his just due.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole group in general, like we said, is just what they did for the tag team division, what they did for factions, is unparalleled, unmatched.
Yes.
So Shout out to the three of you guys, the New Day, and shout out. Thank you for also giving me inspiration to create this show as well too. I pulled inspiration from all three of you guys.
Man, the New Day Pod was just a beautiful thing, man. Such a great collection of guys being themselves, and yeah, like I just, man, they're just really one of a kind or three of a kind in this business, as far as like just being great people.
For sure. We got Mega Ran in the studio once again. Tell us about your book. You're an author, Dream Master.
Oh yeah. So my pandemic project was to write a book. And it was just collections of different stories that I've been writing. I never finished a lot of them, but they were short stories from the road, short stories about growing up, short stories about my journey. And finally we turned it into a book, Dream Master, which came out early 2021. Is a journey through my life. I hope that somebody can find some inspiration in it. My editor was telling me, you got to find like an end point. You can't just write until like yesterday. You got to find a moment and stop, and I was like, all right, so if this is going to be a timeline of my life, it's going to stop at like a major achievement. And so it stops at 2018 when I got the Guinness World Record. And that was, I think, a good place to kind of wrap it, because now I can save the rest for the next book, or if I decide to write another book, I can do that. But yeah, it's about my journey, man. It gets a little gut wrenching, and I've heard some people say it's kind of sad at sometimes, but it's triumphant in the end. Ultimately, it's, if I could compare it to something, it's probably like the movie Antoine Fisher, which I think was also a book. It's just about a kid's journey, just an unlikely journey, and how like the power of perseverance and positive thought can just really propel you to anywhere. Sky's the limit.
Power of positivity, just like the New Day say. Let me ask you about possibly one of those moments. I was reading up on you a little bit. The Scribble Jam competition. What was that, and how did the results of that kind of pivot things for you, if it did?
Oh man, so Scribble Jam, for those who don't know, was a very famous rap battle circuit, and I was, from early days freestyling, learning how to rap, and making things funny. I never used profanity in my raps. I was always just a guy who just would try to funny my way out of situations, or wit my way out. So I could come up with ways to subtly, humorously disrespect someone and get a crowd on my side. So that got me through a few rounds, and then I flew to Cincinnati for the finals of Scribble Jam, and I lost to a guy named Kid Twist, and Kid Twist was from Canada, was very good at what he did, also used wit and humor in really cool ways, but man, he like rained down on me with like fat joke after fat joke, and this was like 2008 or 9, so this is all very funny then, and man, like I just couldn't respond. It was just like, boop, I froze up like Eminem in 8 Mile, and I just couldn't get back, and I found myself kind of out of character, and I was like, oh man, I'm frustrated, I'm yelling, I even like cursed, and I was just like, oh man, this isn't for me, and I lost that battle. But I think that is what turned me kind of towards where I wanted to be, knowing I'm not a battle rapper, I'm a guy who, I'm a little different, so I just need to find what's different and what I like about myself, and make that a bigger part of my character, my persona, my gimmick, if you will. And it was that kind of crushing defeat and having to go home after that what led to me kind of stepping into my fate. After that, I played the Mega Man 9 game, I wrote a song about Splash Woman, and then the rest was kind of history. Then Capcom calls me, and then I'm the first rapper licensed by a video game company, and then all that. So that happened like literally the year after that. So it was just taking that kind of excruciating L and kind of turning it into a W.
Excellent story. I'm glad that you turned that around for sure, and made it a benefit, and made you more true to yourself, because it allowed you to take a lane that was more. And I think that's a lot of with wrestling gimmicks as well too. There's a little bit of the wrestler's persona within that surrounding gimmick, at least the ones that are very successful with it as well. Mega Man 9, the number 9. This is episode number 9 of the Parallax Effect. I meant to mention that in the intro. Is that why the number 9 means so much to you?
Even before that, it's so crazy. I didn't think of that, actually. 9 has always been my favorite number. I don't know why. I just liked the way it looked. But then Mega Ran 9 being like the album and the song that kind of really pushed me to another place. So it's kind of like that. I think Weird Al's number is 23 or something like that. I think he has a number that just kind of showed up a lot in his early goings, and then it became, his favorite number. And I think that's the case with 9. 9 was showing up a lot for me in the early goings. And, there's 9 planets. There's like just so many things about 9 that, yes. So I think just seeing it a lot in my like journey has just made it really important to me. So episode 9 was really important. So thank you for making that happen for me.
But thank you for joining, man. Mega Ran once again. Episode 9 of the Parallax Effect. Like we said, please leave some comments. Please leave some ratings. Please subscribe to our show. We're having a ton of fun here. We're going to move on. We've talked about, your origins in the wrestling community. Who are some more of your favorite wrestlers, or who are some of your favorite ones to interact with? We obviously talked about Xavier and the New Day, Ricochets and the Diamond Dallas Page, and who are some of those other fellas who you vibe with?
Man, it's so funny, man. I've had the most strange conversations with wrestlers, and it's usually about video games. I think just being around, Creed for sure, I think leaves video games as a topic where so many wrestlers are gamers, and we just, man, I talk to AJ Styles like once a month about rare video games in Japan. It's insane. Like stuff like that just doesn't make any sense to me. Him, Tyler Breeze is another great one.
I love Tyler.
Adam Cole is probably the nicest guy in the world. It's just like, and all of these come from just relationships, and Samoa Joe, like talking to him about games is just crazy. Miro, I talk to him mostly like FIFA and stuff, but there's like always, I think there's a game that everybody plays, Dakota Kai, huge gamer as well. So like being able to chat with them about video games is real fun. I think a lot of them appreciate it the same way I would. Like, oh, we don't have to talk about work. You don't have to ask. You're not going to ask me like, what's it like getting in the ring? What's it like hearing the crowd? What's it like doing a moving? What's it like getting slammed? So it's not that for them. It's a welcome escape, and I enjoy that too. And I think so yeah, just finding our common ground in video games or in rap music, just being able to be like, what do you like? What do you like? Those conversations are my favorite, for sure.
Excellent. And I like that, that humanism, that other kind of side comes out when you guys all get together and vibe. Cause I wore the shirt for you.
Nice.
Little Dragon Ball effect on Ken with the Hadouken, because Street Fighter was my thing, and we would get together in the arcades, Marvel vs. Capcom. Back in my day, I would line them up, man. I was throwing them down. FIFA was another one of mine too, so I'm going to start issuing more FIFA challenges over on social media as well too, man. It's video games bring people together. It's great.
They really do, man. I don't know if you ever considered it, but you should think about going to Vegas for Evo, the big Street Fighter tournament. Like it's a really like it's a great community of folks who have been playing the games just as long as us, who continue to excel at these like really cool fighting games. And so yeah, man, I just being able to see all these people together and all these people who games have brought together, it's a really dope thing, man, for sure.
I will definitely now. I've never been, but now I'll definitely look it up, especially if you're going to be there and the whole crew, man.
I will. I'm actually working on some music, hopefully, that will be used during the tournaments. So I'm real excited.
Excellent. And when does the event occur?
It's I think it's late July. No, it's like August. Yeah. It's called Evo. It is the Capcom sponsored big fighting game tournament in Vegas. I think at the Luxor. They built it.
Evo, Capcom sponsored Street Fighter fighting tournament. Mega Ran will be there. I might be there. Look it up because it's supposed to be a very, very great event to go to, especially if you're a fan of gaming as well. What is next for Mega Ran? We talked about more albums. We talked about another book, possibly. What's in the pipeline?
Well, I got to get this album out. I've been working on a children's album for so long. It's finally coming out September 15th. I'll be touring in that. We're doing the release party at a museum out here, which is really cool. The Music Instrument Museum. So that's going to be great. More conventions, more video games. For now, I'm going to try my best to beat Elden Ring. I've been fighting against this last boss for literally 6 months. So I'm going to try to get my weight up. There will be more streams. I stream a lot on Twitch weekly. There's always stuff happening at my Twitch, twitch.tv/Megaran, whether there's music, me practicing new songs, doing some editing, Q&A with everybody, or I sit down and play some video games. I've been playing the new AEW game a lot, playing Street Fighter 6 a lot, also playing Elden Ring and losing. So yeah, come through and see my Twitch. That's probably where you get the up to the minute most current happenings. But for what's next, this album, Buddy's Magic Toy Box, you can pre-order it right now on Bandcamp. You can go to random.bandcamp.com. It's the very first thing you see. Click that button and you will be notified as soon as it comes out, and they'll send you a high quality download of this brand new album with 12 bangers that kids of all ages will enjoy.
Buddy's Magic Toy Box. Pre-order it right now on bandcamp.com. I'm doing mine today, so you should do yours too. Are you on PS5, Xbox? What's your preferred platform?
I'm on both. I don't necessarily have a preference. I got one in the office and one in the living room. So I change them every 2 days. So right now the Xbox is in the living room. That's for my late night gaming. So right now that is for Diablo. That's my late night game of choice. The PlayStation is in the office for streaming AEW and Elden Ring and Street Fighter.
And have you played Star Wars Fallen?
The Jedi.
What's the name I'm looking for?
Which one?
Yeah, Fallen Jedi and the sequel.
Oh man, the sequel is great too. Yes, I love it. I have it on PC. It's really good.
I still have to get the sequel as well. But man, I thought the Fallen Order, that's what it's called, right? Yeah. That jumped into like my top 5 video games when I played it. And that's one of the things I wanted to get into. I have a little pseudo rapid fire segment that I call Speed of Light. I'm trying to play off the Parallax name and all that. Mm-hmm. Do you want to participate?
Yes.
All right, here we go. We're going Speed of Light with Mega Ran. Author, father, hero, musician, video game lover, all the Renaissance man of the finest order. So here we go. Mount Rushmore of wrestlers.
Mount Rushmore is hard. What is it? 4 people? 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can kick it to 5 if you want to.
Plus, I don't like the reference to Mount Rushmore because Mount Rushmore is low key racist. Did you know that Mount Rushmore is built on native land, and it should actually be considered, I think they call it the forefathers, and it's a bunch of native chiefs that they acknowledge in that land. So I was going to say the forefathers.
Yeah, let's rename that. Let's scratch that from the record. The forefathers of wrestlers. That's much better.
Okay. Man, oh man. Okay, so I've been watching wrestling since the 80s. So considering that, I have to put Ric Flair, Stone Cold, The Rock, and Bret Hart. There you go.
Bret Hart's my main guy. You know that already from the intro for sure. We're pretty much in agreement there. My only reservation about The Rock is the sample size, but the impact is no other.
I mean, yeah, the impact definitely balances out. I mean, you got the other side of it is Ric Flair's sample size is 3 decades, but no disrespect, but how much is memorable, where we can pull out the first 15 years and be like, yeah, they were amazing, but then the rest of it is like...
But what I can appreciate, and when you talk to, especially in the mainstream, and I'm glad that AEW is making a lot of noise nowadays, is that WWE dominates the landscape. And for the most part, Ric Flair was able to promote himself outside of the WWE. I mean, he had a little stint in there for a while and then came back, obviously, when Vince bought everything up. But he was able to establish himself outside without that WWE promotion.
That's true. There's not a lot of guys who were able to do that. Like, he single-handedly held up the promotion.
Yeah, and his work stands up to this day in modern pop culture as well too.
Yeah.
Okay, I said Speed of Light, even though I'm moving pretty slow, but let me catch up here. Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat?
Street Fighter.
Mario or Sonic?
Mario.
Favorite superhero?
Spider-Man.
Favorite superhero movie?
Black Panther.
Excellent choice. Do you play Marvel vs. Capcom 2?
Yes, a little bit. I'm not.
What's your lineup? Preferred lineup?
I'm not that good, but I'll take Spider-Man, Ryu, and Wolverine.
Nice. I go with Ryu, Ken, and Gambit.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I like Gambit too.
I tear it up with Gambit.
Nice.
Favorite WrestleMania moment?
Kofi Mania.
And number 2 favorite WrestleMania moment?
Austin and Bret Hart, WrestleMania 13. Him passing out in blood.
Such a great match. My first WrestleMania, and I want to ask you yours. I'm going to tell you mine, was the Iron Man match between Bret and Shawn. Before I was keen on the booking and how things are going to go, so I might have shed a tear during that WrestleMania when Bret lost, and I might have shed a tear during Kofi Manias too. 2 different reasons.
Yep.
But both of them meant a lot to me for sure.
I was.
What was your first WrestleMania?
Okay, so I wasn't there in person, but man, this was like WrestleMania 4 or 5. They did the tournament, and Macho Man won. Macho Man wasn't even on my list. I think he might be another one with sample size versus impact. I feel like him and The Rock are like neck and neck, honestly. So if I was going to have an honorable mention, it would be Macho, because nobody lived the gimmick, like Macho Man.
For Macho to exist in the environment of Hulk Hogan and how he was still so important, I parallel that with The Rock and Stone Cold, because with The Rock and Stone Cold, it depends on who you ask who was bigger.
Yeah.
But I think the true wrestling, well, let me not speak for everybody, but some of our more attenuated wrestling fans can appreciate Macho Man a little bit more than Hulk.
Yeah, I'm a Macho guy for sure. So it was that moment, seeing him win the title during that tournament is like what made him one of my favorites of all time.
Excellent. And let me see, we got into favorite WrestleMania. Let's just get into a little bit different things here. Favorite vacation destination?
I travel a lot, but I feel like I'm the most relaxed when I'm in San Diego.
I've always said that San Diego is one of the most beautiful places on the earth. I haven't been everywhere on the earth, but San Diego has to be one of them for sure.
Best weather in the world.
Best weather for sure. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
You take it black or you put creamer in there? How do you do it?
I take it blonde. It's barely coffee by the time I drink it.
So you add a little bit to it, change the color up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm doing
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Survivor of the speed of light, moving at warp speed is Mega Ran. He has to, because he has so much to do, because he's so good at so many different things. Can you repeat where our audience can find you, all your social handles and all that?
Of course, I'm at Mega Ran on Twitter, at Mega_Ran on Instagram and Threads, twitch.tv/Mega Ran, all one word on Twitch. You can get everything at like a linktree.com/Mega Ran, and megaran.com. And it looks like Meg Ryan when you like squish it together real quick, but it's not. It's Mega Ran. A lot of people be like, "Oh, I thought that said Meg Ryan." It's like, no, not Meg Ryan. But
Mega Ran, not Meg Ryan. No disrespect to Meg Ryan, but this is Mega Ran live on the Parallax Effect. Appreciate you so much for coming through, man. Anything we didn't touch on? Anything you wanted to recap? I learned a lot about you today.
Man, you got through so much of it, man, and I got to tell some stories that I never told, so that was dope. Well, I'm gonna say, if there's anything I wanted to recap or rehash, is that the power of positive thinking and putting yourself in a position to do great things will take you further than the most best laid out business plan. A lot of times, man, it's just, keep thinking positive and always put yourself in a position to win.
Always. Again, signing off for Mega Ran. My name is Ryan Lavelle. I am your host. You can follow us on Twitter at Parallax Effects. Once again, that's Parallax Effects with an S. Instagram at Parallax Effect Media. If you're on Apple or Spotify, please leave us a rating, comment, let us know how I can do better. Don't say how Mega Ran can do better because he did fantastic. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave us a like, hit the button, hit the button, hit the button. This has been another episode of the Parallax Effect Podcast, where every angle reveals a new depth of understanding. We really, really appreciate you today. We're going to give Mega Ran one of these before he heads out because brought him in and he made it happen. Again, I'm Ryan Lavelle, and on behalf of Brega Man, thank you guys so much. This has been another episode of the Parallax Effect.
So we gotta toast one time. Guess we gotta say goodbye to the bad guy. Bye to the bad guy. Too sweet for life to do is mad fly. They say he had his demons. Show me someone who didn't. I dwell on what he was, never on what he is. Say goodbye to the bad guy. Bye to the bad guy. Too sweet for life to do is mad fly. They say he had his demons. Show me someone who didn't. I dwell on what he was, no time for what he isn't. Ready or not, catch him surfing through the crowd. Show me that to be heard, you ain't gotta be loud. Now trust me, it's touched me. The love's felt all across the country. Only God can judge him. Yeah, only he without sin can tell me if the means to justify the ends. Yeah. But you can't teach cool. Something happened to the jewels. Something happening to you. Remember, bad guys used to get the booze. That all changed thanks to you. Guess we gotta say goodbye to the bad guy. Bye to the bad guy. Too sweet for life to do is mad fly. They say he had his demons. Show me someone who didn't. I dwell on what he was, never on what he is. Say goodbye to the bad guy. Bye to the bad guy.